Okay, let's dive right into this explainer. We're looking at the hidden, honestly, kind of wild science that keeps our recreational waters safe. You might look at a shimmering public pool and see nothing but a place to relax, right? Maybe get some exercise or just cool off on a hot day. But beneath that calm, inviting surface, well, there is an intense, ongoing scientific battle happening.
So what is actually lurking in your swimming pool? You might think a clear blue pool is perfectly harmless. I mean, it looks clean. But let's ask that provocative question about what's really under the surface. Because when you share a body of water with dozens or sometimes hundreds of other people, you're sharing a whole lot more than just space. From invisible pathogens to highly reactive chemical compounds, the water we swim in is this dynamic, constantly changing environment.
And this brilliantly illustrates our main premise here. Just enjoying a simple swim actually requires balancing an incredible amount of complex science. A well-managed pool is literally a marvel of modern engineering and chemistry. It requires operators to constantly monitor and adjust variables just to ensure that the health benefits of swimming far outweigh any potential negative impacts. It's a massive balancing act.
Now, to understand these risks properly, we're relying directly on the absolute gold standard, the authoritative guidelines established by the World Health Organization alongside some really specific, targeted research from the CDC. These documents represent the global consensus of dozens of experts over a decade of research, so they give us the definitive playbook on how to actually maintain a safe aquatic environment.
Here's our roadmap for this explainer. We're going to systematically break this down, starting with the hidden pool hazards, then drowning and physical injuries, and the invisible microbial world. Next up is the chlorine paradox, followed by managing water and air, and we'll wrap up with ensuring safe swimming.
All right, Section 1, the hidden pool hazards, from the visible to the microscopic.
So the crucial point here is that safe management requires combating three distinct categories of risk. First, we have the physical hazards. Those are the most immediate and visible threats. Second, we have microbial hazards. We're talking bacteria, viruses, and protozoa that can cause outbreaks of illness. And finally, chemical hazards. And ironically, these often stem from the very substances we use to neutralize those microbial threats in the first place.
Moving on to Section 2, drowning and physical injuries, the tip of the iceberg.
We're beginning with the most visible threats. These are severe, immediate outcomes. Drowning remains a major cause of death worldwide, with kids under 5 being particularly vulnerable. But there are other catastrophic physical risks too. Diving into the shallow end, or even the upslope of a pool bottom, is actually the most common cause of sports-related spinal injuries in pools. It almost exclusively damages the cervical vertebrae, which can result in permanent paralysis. And then, there's the horrifying risk of entrapment, where the intense suction of an open pool or hot tub drain can literally catch a bather's hair or body, holding them underwater. Scary stuff.
Now, what's really interesting here is how we prevent these tragedies with young children. Supervision is obviously key, but, lapses happen. The data shows that isolation fencing, which completely encloses the pool only, separating it from the house and the rest of the yard, reduces childhood drownings by more than 50%. That makes it vastly superior to just standard perimeter fencing, which encloses the property but still, unfortunately, allows a toddler to wander right out the back door and straight into the water.
Okay, Section 3, the invisible microbial world. Let's dive beneath the surface. So the water can look perfectly crystal clear while actually harboring dangerous pathogens introduced by bathers. Meet Cryptosporidium parvum, or as it's commonly known, crypto. This is a nasty protozoan parasite found in human shedding that causes severe gastrointestinal illness. And what makes crypto a pool operator's absolute worst nightmare is that it's protected by an incredibly tough outer shell called an oocyst. This shell makes it highly resistant to our standard chemical disinfectants, like chlorine. It simply survives in conditions that would instantly kill other bacteria. No big deal for crypto.
This brings us to Section 4, the chlorine paradox, when solutions create problems. To understand the sheer scale of the crypto problem, we have to look at what's called a CT value. That's the concentration of a disinfectant multiplied by the time it's applied. The CDC recommends a massive target value of 15,300 milligram minutes per liter just to neutralize crypto under normal hyperchlorination conditions. That means jacking up the chlorine to incredibly high levels and waiting a very long time. But outdoor pools have another big problem. The sun's ultraviolet rays degrade chlorine rapidly.
To stop the sun from destroying the chlorine, operators add a stabilizer called cyanuric acid, or CYA. But look at this incredible plot twist in the CDC data.
Adding cyanuric acid protects the chlorine from UV rays, sure, but it drastically decreases the chlorine's ability to actually kill pathogens. With just 16 milligrams per liter of CYA, the CT value required to kill crypto essentially doubles to 31,500. And if you have higher stabilizer levels, say 48 milligrams per liter, you need an astonishing 76,500 milligram minutes per liter just to achieve a fraction of the parasite reduction. It creates this huge management paradox, right? The chemical you use to save your chlorine is actively stopping your chlorine from working when you need it the absolute most.
Let's move into Section 5, Managing Water and Air. Let's look at some actionable protocols.
Because of super resilient pathogens like crypto, an accidental fecal release in a pool, especially a liquid one, is treated as a serious biohazard emergency. The WHO recommends this strict, multi-layered, step-by-step procedure. You can't just, scoop it out and keep swimming. No way. The pool must be cleared immediately, the waste is removed, disinfectant levels are massively boosted, and most importantly, the entire volume of the pool water must be filtered through the system for 6 complete turnover cycles, just to ensure those invisible pathogens are actually removed.
Finally, Section 6, Ensuring Safe Swimming. Everyday Solutions. So, managing a pool isn't just about dumping chemicals into the water. It's a completely holistic system. The WHO outlines several really vital solutions here. First, mandatory pre-swim hygiene. Simply showering and using the toilet before swimming drastically reduces the organic matter, like sweat, urine, cosmetics, that bathers introduce to the water. Second, operators must physically dilute the pool with fresh water, roughly 30 liters per bather actually, to prevent the buildup of unfilterable chemicals. And finally, excellent ventilation in indoor facilities is absolutely non-negotiable to clear the air of volatile chemical byproducts.
And this brilliantly illustrates the delicate chemical balance required. You might think, hey, adding more chlorine is always better, right? Well, its effectiveness is entirely bound to the water's pH level. The pH must sit strictly between 7.2 and 7.8. If it drifts too high, the chlorine becomes weak and pretty much useless. If it drops too low, it literally damages the pool fabric and severely irritates the bather's eyes and skin.
You also have to carefully cap your chlorine to prevent the creation of harmful disinfection byproducts. When chlorine reacts with human sweat and urine, it creates these things called chloramines. These are the chemicals that cause that strong, classic pool smell, and yeah, they're what actually sting your eyes. To limit this, the WHO guidelines set a strict ceiling, a maximum of 3 milligrams per liter of free chlorine in public pools, and up to 5 milligrams per liter in heavily loaded hot tubs, which require slightly higher doses just due to the extreme temperatures and high bather loads.
We've seen how keeping a pool safe is honestly a high-wire act of chemistry, physics, and microbiology. From isolation fencing to the absolute paradox of chlorine stabilizers, it takes an incredible amount of science to guarantee a safe swim. But as we've learned, the system really only works when we do our part to keep organic matter out of the water. So after exploring the incredible science required to maintain recreational water, next time you go to dive in, will you remember to shower first?